competing is what I like, what I live for. And now that it's in like such an organized fashion where we're playing every single week, I think it's going to be fun.
Welcome back to the LCS live from Los Angeles. It's time for our next match, Team Solo Mid versus Team Dignitas. Now, both these teams went all the way to North American Regionals into the finals there at Season 2, but it was TSM that won that, beating Dignitas to become the North American champions. Today, Dignitas is going to look to settle the score.
Well, they're going to be able to settle that score because Reginald's infamous remarks, if you were there that day at PAX or if you were online watching, was that could have been the easiest final we have ever played, and I'm sure Dignitas is not going to forget about that.
And that's actually really interesting, just because that's something you want to give up, right? We had Curse CLG, and the jokes online, we've had them for years now, is that Curse is that CLG B team with Voyboy, Elements, and Saint getting cut from the CLG roster and apparently proving themselves now the better players. Well, when you come back from easiest final ever, I mean, we've seen one vindication. Are we going to see two?
Yeah, so TSM going 1-1 yesterday. Going to be Dignitas' tough start against Curse as well. So both of these teams kind of coming off the back foot there. We'll have to see if they can pull these games in. TSM was able to find another win for themselves against Vulcan, which became out very strong. They finally pulled out an AD caster for Reginald in middle. He was better put into his aggressive playstyle than on his Kayle. He actually even said himself, he's like, I didn't feel like I played up to par on my Kayle. That was actually very bad play.
Well, that's fair, and that's always a mature player who can recognize
for sure,
that, right?
Exactly.
And it's fun because we've seen Reginald for years now. He was a competitor in beta, had the best team in beta. All or Nothing was him and Dyrus, a couple other guys. Takashi X was on that roster, and they were the best team from beta. And Reginald here coming in and. He had a rocky first game of the season, and he can say, look, I can be mature enough and realize that I can get back to being the top competitors here. Of course, you've got Reginald on your screen right there. He said, CLG practiced harder than us. And we'll see if they had enough time to practice to get back to that sort of TSM standard he would expect for himself here.
Well, Dignitas coming in here as well, that practiced up the battle-hardened team in their secret practices. But Skara, we saw yesterday, kind of being a little troublesome in mid again. We pointed out, likes to be aggressive in the early game, and it did cause them first blood. So his game against Reginald is going to have to be even more careful.
And Oddone is crazy, of course, as well. Like, Oddone is one of the best junglers in North America, if not the best. And he and Reginald, I think, have an amazingly good synergy between the two of them. They're very, very well coordinated. Reginald calls a lot of shots, likes to get ganks for himself. Oddone, you saw him get first blood in their game against Vulcan, just found that tower dive. They're up to the second turret at level 3 and still picked up the kill there. And that is something really to be feared when you're Dignitas, because Skara might just get caught here, and certainly when you're up against Reggie Oddone, that's a scary duo.
It is going to be a scary duo. It's kind of like that St. Vicious Nyjack. You're always going to get help from your jungler. You're always going to know somebody's just around the corner looking over your shoulder. It's a scary proposition to play from, especially when you're in the mid lane, the shortest lane of the game, and they're going to come right on top of your face instantly. But there you have it. A little bit between the teams. Let's take a look at our lineups for these matches. On the blue side, it's going to be Team Solo Mid. Dyrus in that top lane, the odd one out of the jungle, helping out Reginald in mid, as we just said. Chaos on AD, and Xpecial at support.
Meanwhile, on the red team, of course, Team Dignitas. Kiwi Kid, that new pickup for top lane. Crumbs now in the jungle. Skara in mid. I'm a Cutie Pie. And Patoy here on AD carry and support. And that's going to be, I think, one of their big impact lanes as well.
So let's take a little bit of a more detailed look at our matchup of the day. That head-to-head. Today's featured matchup is going to be a Rumble in the Jungle. Team Solo Mid's Odd One versus Dignitas' Crumbs. A little bit of experience and stable jungle lineup over a jungler who's been back and forth between different lanes.
Yeah, well, you saw Crumbs, if you look last year, he was a jungler for Curse, then he started top laning for Dignitas and adapted to his role really, really well there.
He did.
And now, now he's back in the jungle here, and I like him as a player. He's very, very strong. Now, Dignitas, of course, 0-1 record in LCS, so he hasn't had the best impact yet, but he's going to hope, of course, to turn that around.
Well, if the Odd One can play the aggressive junglers he has been now, coming out with that Xin Zhao, coming out with that Jarvan, a little more counter gank accessible than his Maokai, the utility jungler of the play, they're going to be able to really shut down that jungle, because that's already TSM's style of play. Get in the face of the team and make it hard for them to come back in any aspect. And to do that against Crumbs, I think it's still going to hurt a little bit more.
TSM is a team that strangles. We saw that from Curse versus CLG. They strangled CLG and they made it hard to breathe. TSM, you saw that in their win against Vulcan. It was it was methodical. It was great. You know, the general, the odd one, he just, you know, they were able to just find everything they wanted to. They got the ganks, they got the turret kills. In hearing Chaox talk to the members of Vulcan after their game, he said, yeah, you guys picked a really bad early game, and we just capitalized. Now, certainly, you guys could have maybe done better to not give up kills, but the turrets, those are ours just based on champion select. And they knew that coming into the game and said, we'll kill this, we'll kill this, we'll kill this. And they started off so strong. These guys, again, great competitors, great game knowledge. They find those openings.
Indeed. I think also if Dig doing a little bit of their homework coming in here, they're probably going to ban out that Kha'Zix in middle. Reginald a little too aggressive there. And, you know, they comboed Kha'Zix and Malphite in very perfectly with those ultimates. Dyrus on Malphite for that game. And a lot of it was the late reinitiation. We saw him end the game that way with the late ultimate looking for the Kog'Maw. So we'll have to see if they can still have that patience going in. Dignitas, a very good 5-on-5 fight-oriented team, and they're very solid in lane as well. So if they can hold off what we were saying, that first stave off that first early aggression, the fight phase could easily go in their favor.
And what I'm really interested about, you mentioned the lanes just a second ago, and one of the lanes I actually want to point out is the top lane. I think Kiwi Kid is a really important thing to point out for Dignitas, and I got a chance to talk with him as Dignitas came in to the studio today. I talked with him about, you know, being a new top laner, how he feels, and I said, who's your rankings and everyone in the league? And he says, Voyboy and I are 1 and 2. Everyone else, I don't respect. Now, he says, I respect them as people. I think they're good people. But in terms of fighting in the top lane, he says, I feel like I can beat everyone else in that league. And that, of course, includes Dyrus here. And I said, well, you know, tell me about that, because you've been top laning for like 2 months. He was an AD carry and mid player in Season 2, and he's just new to that top lane. And he says, well, I don't really know the matchups very well. I don't actually know what beats what. I just ask my team, and they tell me, oh yeah, just pick Kha'Zix here, you'll be fine, or pick Rumble here. Like, they'll tell him what to play. He said he hadn't even played Elise in 2 months, you know, looking at his game yesterday. So he has his team, like, pick champions for him, but he says as far as skill goes, he's like, I'll take anyone but Voyboy.
Yeah, well, thinking that isn't really condescending at all, man. If you know you feel good about your mechanics, you play the lane safe when you're like, I know I'm against some aggressive guy. That's what they said. I'll just play it safe. But we'll have to see if he can back it up. That's where it really comes into play.
And I do want to backpedal and say, like, he wasn't saying this like he's he's not being boisterous, right? He's saying it legitimately. You can see him there, the closest one on your screen. Now, of course, you got TSM on there, but he meant it very directly. He wasn't saying it to brag. Like, I don't want to like breed a bunch of Kiwi Kid haters. Like, the guy was very calm about this. You know, he's got previous competitive MOBA experience. He's used to that sort of solo lane role, and he says, look, it's just I'm kind of used to this sort of scenario. Yeah, I didn't play it a lot in League, but you know, he's got that tournament experience, and he was with calm head there and just saying, look, I just feel like I'm a strong player here, and again, I just don't want to breed Kiwi Kid haters. I wanted to bring it up. I think it's a relevant point, but
Kiwi Kid hates everyone.
No, he's awesome. I like that guy. He was really fun to talk to. I'm a fan of Kiwi Kid.
No, he is great, and it's awesome to be able to talk to these players as well, too. We talked about it in the qualifiers coming in here. It's like, when have we ever got the chance to, you know, learn what these guys do, learn what they do every morning, how they're practicing, and, you know, what they feel. We get the chance to talk to Kiwi Kid when he was pretty much an unknown on other than Dignitas coming in here, and the friends that played with him in his previous, you know, experience with video gaming in a professional scene. So coming in, there he is again on your screen. Very strong in his time here, and really we said the only thing he was concerned about was melding with the other players on his team, because they were at such a level of, you know, camaraderie and team-ism, if you will.
Yeah, Dignitas has been around forever. You know, back when they were rock solid, which, you know, at this point really only Skara and QtPie were founding members of. But certainly, like, this is a team that has had very few roster changes. Very few. They had Jat for a while, then they had I Will Dominate, they added in Crumbs, they've added in Patoy, they've added in QtPie, but over the course of over 2 years, 5 players is not a very big change. You look at CLG, they've had a lot more members switched around. For TSM, okay, maybe just 1. But as far as the North American scene is considered, Dignitas is a very stable roster. So when you talk about Kiwi Kid being the new kid on the block, that is relevant. That is, of course, relevant. Taking another step here, there's actually another interesting story between these teams, which is Dignitas, basically they don't practice with each other at all. Dignitas plays pretty much every other North American team. TSM scrims with basically every other North American team, but they don't play each other. And if you actually think back to the Season 2 championships, Dyrus actually leaked one of Dignitas' core strategies to Wicked of CLG EU at the time, and Dignitas was like, you know what? we're not going to play you guys anymore. And so these guys actually don't know each other directly. They only play each other in tournaments now. And so I'm interested to see what comes out, because if everyone's been keeping tight lips, they're going to be blind to each other.
Well, they make it hard for us because we want to watch games, and they say, no, can't watch our games. So it makes it even harder on us.
Yeah,
Be nice.
Yeah, it is really relevant to be nice, and actually, as well, like in the Korean scene, if a team ever leaks strategies, they get kind of blacklisted as well. That these teams are trusting each other to play in secret and not give advantage to the other teams and leak the strategies, leak the champions, and whatnot. Which is interesting. We talked before about when you're playing with another team, you're gonna want to keep something secret so that you can bring it out against them later.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So almost getting into this matchup, we're going to see how much Champion Select tells us about this game. Curse versus CLG told us a lot. They allowed Voyboy to get Olaf, so we're definitely going to find out a few things here. They did their homework on a few of the bans, but it really didn't seem to help them.
Yeah, leaving Olaf available was a little bit risky. We'll see what ends up being the respect bans here, the respected picks. And if you're wondering why we're not quite into the game just yet, a quick USB issue for one of the players. We have all 10 in the lobby. We're going to be going very, very soon. Just a quick technical difficulty, and we'll be getting underway. So just so you guys know, not long to go.
For sure. And as we get into the matchup, if you're just joining us here, it is going to be Team Solo Mid versus Dignitas. As we said, this is kind of that rivalry matchup from North American Regionals. These teams have not met really since them to find each other in practice schedules or in just scrims. It's all been solo queue for these guys if they did meet.
Yeah, Dignitas hasn't played a tournament that I can think of since the World Championships, whereas TSM went... No, I guess they both went to MLG afterwards. So, but TSM went to IPL 5, had a not great result there. Dignitas did not go. So they've had more time in the dark than TSM for what that's worth. So you've got just a little bit more of that darkness there, whereas TSM and CLG and Curse, they've been competing a little more recently. Dignitas had a much longer time in the dark.
So yesterday we definitely saw a lot of these teams being very cautious. It's the first game of the LCS. Nobody wants to go 0-1. TSM was a very, very slow game off in the beginning versus CLG. Now with a win and a loss under their belt, we'll have to see if these teams kind of go out a little bit stronger from the start. We'll see right now in Champion Select.
Okay, so TSM on the blue team, which to me, I just feel like it's the Olaf team in a way, because it's a champion that is worth first picking. You saw Void grab that up and dominate the game. Dyrus can definitely play a mean Olaf. Kiwi Kid, I'm going to trust can as well. He's more of that in darkness player where you can't always know his champion pool. So right away, Nunu banned out against Patoy. They want to remove some of that carry factor from Cutie Pie. LeBlanc, again, 3 times in a row, banned against Team Solo Mid. They're getting rid of that. And wow, Solo Mid has done their research. The Elise ban against Kiwi Kid, and Maokai ban against the Odd One. These are similar bans. These guys are banning the same guys against these teams. They know their favorite champions here.
So I wonder if Kiwi Kid's thinking to himself, I haven't played Elise in a long time. Or whether he was kind of saying, what I've put in people's ears isn't working.
Well, we'll see. The Kazakhs banned out as well now. Dignitas for their
TSM's side, oddly enough.
Yeah, they're banning that out. I mean, and again, it's always interesting to see, because blue and red team, there is an interesting dynamic there, because first picking a champion that is worthy of first picking, like Olaf, who's a safe first pick, has no terrible lanes, has a lot of good matchups. Yes, right? They're denying that Olaf first pick. Exactly. they kind of force that Olaf ban. Dyrus plays a very good one. Moving that is really smart from Dignitas.
So probably to see one of those ambiguous picks, the jungler, the bottom, or the jungler, or the support, rather, that Xin Zhao. That Shen is still open as well. Banned against Dyrus quite a bit here, but with Shen being open, he has been such an all pick. I think 100% picked, hasn't been banned out yet.
As far as I can think of, and it's always gone to the blue team, if I remember properly. And he's just a high-impact champion. No, it is going to be Tarek here. We've seen him.
We saw this yesterday.
Yeah, we just seen Tarek be the #1. Well, maybe Nunu, I suppose. Nunu was also highly contested, but Tarek and Nunu have really been the supports of LCS North America so far. Now, you called it the Shen. That looks like to be... Yeah, it's going to be the grab. Now, that can be Crumbs in the jungle or Kiwi up top.
Kiwi's dying there for some reason. They go ahead and they grab Kale. They grab Shen as well.
Now, the thing is, this is actually likely to be Kiwi up top. This is actually one of his champions he told me that he plays quite a bit, is that top lane Kale. And what I'm going to like about this is he told me he'll play her in one of many different ways. He says he plays her hybrid and then tailors his build based on what his team needs. So he says, I'm not going to go like Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, but I might grab like Blade of the Ruin King, or I might grab Leandries based on the damage type my team needs here.
It'd be very interesting to see how he specs out the beginning of a game, especially to start something like that that would build so easily into a hybrid matchup.
Yeah. He'll probably start Natur's Tooth, but he'll branch from there.
Very cool. So we see the odd one in Reginald patiently waiting. Odd one on your screen there. The General waiting to make a call on whatever he locks in for a member of his team. We do have a Misfortune typed in, and he has played this in, but now he's going to bring out the Jarvan.
All right, so his second Jarvan, I believe, for the odd one. He played him against Vulcan. Cutie Pie looking at Corki. That's one of the old guard. He used to play Corki a heck of a lot. Now, I actually talked to Cutie Pie and I asked him, what are the best 2 AD carries? And he said Urgot and Ezreal. So if he grabs this here, it's either team-specific or he was trolling me. And we'll see what it ends up being. Now, we've also not seen Alistar in quite some time. Well, we see him once in a while, but he's kind of a rare pick here. So I kind of like this. These are 2 champions we don't see all that often, this Alistar and Corki.
This scares me with Dignitas being such a formidable fight team. What they have right now is a lot of crowd control that lacks a bit of damage.
Well, certainly you've got Kayle and Corki to try to put some damage out there later on. Certainly Shen and Alistar are not huge damage threats, but what I like about this, if they do lock in Alistar, is they've got 2 really good area of effect crowd controls that certainly when you put in a Sona or a Zyra or like Orianna, you've got really good area of effect lockdown, but here you can kind of layer these stuns as well, and Alistar especially is really good at messing with Misfortune and kind of ruining her day in the laning phase, as well as ruining her day in a team fight. He's got Headbutt and Pulverize to break bullet time.
And I really like the Graves pickup. It adds a little bit more of the front end burst they were missing with what Corki would have just had, you know, damage. They can get that out right in the beginning, and Kayle can just continue to shred with whatever they pick up last.
Yeah.
We see what Team Solo Mid hovers on for their last few pickups right now. Looks like a lockdown fight composition that keeps Misfortune quite safe. That's going to be Chaos playing him, so we'll have to see what they choose. They're still hovering and still contemplating.
And what I think is funny about this potential Jax pick is they're expecting Kayle mid, Shen top. Jax is a very good counter pick to Shen because he out-duels, he has an easily accessible stun to break Stand United, and you could run teleport and still beat Shen one-on-one. Thing is, this is actually Kayle top and Shen jungle, and now they're going to pick a mid for Skara and kind of throw them for... Oh, it's going to be Renekton, actually. I still like Kayle versus Renekton.
Very much so on the armor shred composition coming from Team Solo Mid here. Batoy to pick up, most likely using Alistar for himself. We'll have to see what he chooses here. I don't really have much that would go with this composition. It looks like they're really formulating something, you know, based a little bit off of what they want, but they're saying if we can counter, let's try to figure out that champion's out there.
Well, Gragas works really, really well here because it's another tool to get rid of Misfortune's ultimate.
Right.
The cast range is huge, the area of effect is huge, the knock from Gragas ult will break bullet time, and again, when you've got an all-in champion like Jarvan or an all-in champion like Renekton, explosive cast will knock Jarvan into you, knock the rest of the team away, and allow you to focus him down, and like Kayle, Shen, Graves can focus that kind of guy down really easily. Ooh, this is interesting. They've actually locked in Kassadin. Now, what I want to see here is do TSM 2 versus 1 Kassadin, because Taric MF would ruin his day. So would Renekton, actually. Pretty much any lane here makes it a difficult lane here for Skara. Ryze will be touchy, but Skara could survive it.
How is that early game between Kassadin and Reginald with the lockdown of Rune Prison?
It opens him up to ganks, absolutely. Odd one really here on Jarvan, Reginald on Ryze. They've got a lot of gank potential on Skara, and we saw in his first game of the day, Skara gave up first blood against Curse. And you've got a very similar gank potential here. I'm afraid for Skara's lane. If he gets into a 2 versus 1, basically if he fights anyone but Ryze, it's going to suck really hard for him. And even Ryze isn't the easiest lane. He'll get Force Pulse easily because Ryze will cast a lot of spells that will charge. And that's nice. He'll get some wave clear out of that. But 1 through 6, difficult lane for Skara.
Whether they do or don't swap here, I believe TSM, I think they're going to try to focus down Kiwi Kid with whatever lane they try. They did pick Renekton, who isn't the greatest at solo, just taking a lane up by himself because of the crowd control, but with Jarvan, it's going to be a pretty hard gank to get out of. Kayle does have that speed up from the heal, so it is a little bit safer, but if they focus with that crowd control on crowd control, it's a lot of damage from Jarvan Renekton.
Exactly. Every lane for solo mid has a point-and-click stun or at least root. They've got Taric for Dazzle, they've got Renekton for his Ruthless Predator, that W, it's a 1.5 second stun, and they've got Ryze on Rune Prison, which is 0.75 to 1.75 based on rank. So I mean, no matter who they go for, they'll land a root or a stun right into the Jarvan flag toss, that EQ combo. Here's the players up on your screen, and here we're into the game.
Jumping back onto Summoner's Rift for our second matchup of the day. Team Solo Mid versus Dignitas. This vocal rivalry about to be settled between these two teams.
And right away, TSM with a defensive setup, whereas Dignitas are putting all their cards in one hand and going for a top lane sort of push. So to me, this is a late invade on blue.
They are heading towards that top side, Freak. We'll see if your call is correct. They will go for the lane swap within this matchup so far, unless something is seen and they choose to go back and forth on each side. A good ward over the wall coming from Dyrus there to keep them safe on the late invade that you did call.
That is a very, very smart ward because it spots that. And I want to point out that he put it up from like right across the wall, like, you know, down below that brush. He did it from complete safety, popped it down there. And the thing is, Dignitas is going to run right into that. TSM is going to know, and Dig has no way of knowing that this is warded. So TSM can do anything they want to counteract this. Dignitas just has to guess. Wow, they're actually going to walk away, though, which is impressive. They ran into this one and said, you know, we didn't find anything. But, of course, they recalled in vision of the ward. TSM still knows kind of where they are. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And they are going to set up in this bush right behind red. Doesn't look like there's going to be any aggression for Team Solo Mid. They set up to do golems down in the bottom lane. And with doing golems in that bottom lane, if they can go very strong, Alistar will go down early.
Oh, sure. Alistar is not tanky until 6. He's got some good base stats, but you can kind of focus whoever you want in that lane. The difficulty, though, comes in if you take too much time hitting the support, the AD carry can kind of break you apart. So they have to be a little bit careful about what happens there.
And they will just micro the damage in and out. A ward coming in from Kiwi Kid a little late. Looks like they aren't going to get the lane swap in here. The ward was seen, and they bring back Graves to the bottom lane after that late invade.
Okay, so it's going to be a heads-up 2-on-2 lane. Honestly, I would not have wanted to give Kiwi Kid a rough 2-on-1 like that. So standard lanes right here.
Right.
Reginald really trying to make his presence known on Scar. You're going to see him look for damage quite a lot here. An early ward goes down. That's very, very smart. There's a good kind of gank potential there with Shen and Kassadin.
So, Freak, as we start to return to all of the lanes here, our rumble in the jungle was the odd one versus Crumbs. Now that we see they're on Shen and on Jarvan respectively, how's that matchup looking?
Early on, I like Jarvan a lot more. I think his ganks are more accessible, they're longer range, and he brings more damage output to it. I also think he's a bit of a faster jungler. He's got more area of effect tools, just a bit more damage overall. You can see Reginald, again, just pushing down on a Scar who's gone for that crystalline flask, trying to keep himself alive. Scar's looking for late game. Wow, there goes the pressure.
PewDiePie trying to draw in a little bit of aggro there. They go for X Special. The damage is back. Chaos is forced to cleanse here. No more crowd control to be used, and TSM knows it.
That was a bit of miscommunication, though. PewDiePie spent a lot of time hitting X Special while Patoy was locking up Chaos.
Right, yeah.
Now, maybe that was their plan. Get everyone really low, make their lane really, really super passive. They've only got one summoner spell left there, whereas Dignitas has 2. So Dignitas in the lead, but X Special's gonna hit level 2. He's gonna get that heal, and now suddenly they've got to keep the pressure on, or Chaos will reach full health again.
The lane was getting pushed there. We actually saw Crumbs backing on TSM's side of the jungle as he almost went in for a gank. And it looks like that is going to be countered, would have been countered by the odd one. He's going to go ahead and throw some potions on. Reginald moving for the bottom lane, but he sees mid, and he's going to go back and just farm it up.
Okay, so right now, again, Dyrus one-on-one against Kiwi Kid up top. Kiwi Kid said he felt, you know, stronger than any other top laner but Voyboy. He's got a minion lead right now, but you know, there's more minions to farm there, so Dyrus, he's really not getting pushed back too much. And I want to point out Dyrus' build. He's grabbed an early red elixir. Scar, wow, just still in a rough situation in this lane. Even as one-on-one with no gank pressure, he is behind 16 to 19 and pressed up to his turret. But again, going back to Dyrus versus Kiwi Kid up top, Kiwi's not building an advantage just yet. He's just looking for late game.
Yeah, kind of sitting in his lane safely. Few attacks onto Dyrus there. You can see him throwing out some harass with there's no CS to be taken in. And that's really the perfect way to play it. Just bide that time in your lane until you get the last hits. No reason to push. He's going to do that innately with that area of effectability.
They've pinged the odd one. They know he's coming, but they haven't seen him for a while. Like, he walked by one ward, Kiwi knows, but he won't know if he recalls or waits for half an hour.
Right, and that's that focus they want to put onto Kiwi Kid. They're thinking, you know, he's feeling a little bit uncomfortable in his position. Let's give him some aggression. All
right, and Alvin just makes his presence known. They're going to shove this lane out super hard right here. And actually, the thing is, Dyrus is out of potions, so I think he's looking to recall back. They're going to shove the lane, send Dyrus back for more items, and then there they go. He goes in the brush. He's going to recall out. That's all they used the album. He looked for a gank, didn't find one, so he shoved the lane and recalled.
All right, Reginald playing very calm in mid. As you can see, somewhat of a gank coming in. Crumbs still being a pest as he goes ahead and takes out the Wraith there. Odd One's going to leave that top lane and try to make his way around the jungle. Thwart that as fast as possible. A good push coming in for Cutie Pie and Patoy in that bottom lane.
He's behind
still.
Reginald in mid, though. Oh no, of course he's got no help from Skara in mid, who's got no mana, so never mind. But yeah, this bottom lane, it's very aggressive, a lot of pushing. They're not really winning on minions though, so this push hasn't done a whole heck of a lot. They got that early damage, they burned the summoners, but they've not done much afterwards, so we'll see if they can capitalize on this very strong early game fight team. Meanwhile, top laners, right, both have recalled. We'll see what Kiwi Kid picks up there. He's at 1,000 gold, buys a Doran's Blade, so already some physical damage, picks up Boots of Speed, and he's going to be on his way. So right now, a physical heavy build. We'll see what that ends up being.
Skara, unfortunately, not having that much gold, forced to come back with a mana crystal to keep using his abilities for that farm game. He's going to have a little bit of trouble. He'll be safer now that he can rift away, but he's still going to take quite a bit of damage from that Reginald's Rise.
Okay, so mana crystal, flask, 2 wards, 3 potions. Ooh. Skara trying to stay alive. And of course, he's already against a Tear of the Goddess on Reginald. So Brady's going to keep the pressure up. Skara's going to keep taking a lot of damage. He's going to use that flask to stay sustained. But you can see he's down 11 minions now, and that lead will grow, I'm guessing.
So 48 to 42, actually 50 to 43 as they go up a little bit in CS in that top lane. Dyrus doing quite good, but Kiwi Kid holding his own there. Does still have a ward under his belt, so he can use that if the lane starts to push. But for right now, he's in a pretty good position as both top lanes are the only 6s for us. I believe Skara just hit that in mid, so his mid is going to become a bit easier in that way of safety, non-damage.
There's Reggie at 6. Again, the harassment on the Skara. Those overloads hitting quite hard, actually. The damage, it's at about 170 right now. Puts the Rune Prison, but he's found
There's Crumbs. He's got the silence on. Reginald turns away the flash. Taunt, the first blood could be coming out. The Ignite's not going to be enough, and it looks like they're able to turn this. Can the Odd One get himself a kill here? No, the Odd One just deters the attack and makes it out.
Wow, not quite enough cooldowns, but looks like they got something at the bottom lane. Patoy getting really hit hard. Look at that.
That's some pain.
Now, he's got sustain. He is Alistair, and he's got a... let me look at the ranks. He's actually been maxing Headbutt, so not a lot of heal from him, actually.
Each lane getting pretty aggressive, actually, seeing their friendlies take a little bit of fight there. They want to get it in themselves. Crumbs and Skara trying to time this blue out. They're also trying to look for the Odd One if he goes back into his jungle. A little low from that mid lane. Rise backing in middle, so Reginald trying to get a buy, and we got aggression in the bottom lane. Xpecial right onto Cutie Pie. Perfect support play by Xpecial there, and you can see Patoy forced to walk out of that one.
And again, you're seeing those trades look really, really good for solo mid. Dignitas has not been really coordinating their fights very well. Xpecial's been locking up Cutie Pie.
Yeah.
Patoy's been locking up Misfortune, and then at the end of the day, Misfortune gets a bunch of auto attacks.
And here's the aggression, a beautiful bait, and they forced a flash, but he only flashes really half the distance. The invulnerability a little too early, and Dyrus picking up first blood.
Really, really nice move, and he did so much damage during the stun that Kiwi Kid couldn't ult to block it. He got dropped to 10% before he even had the chance to ult. That flash Q, a really nice move.
Again, harassment onto Cutie Pie just for the CS. He's getting dazzled out.
Yeah, and you can see that he is just slightly behind in lane now because of really some great moves from Xpecial. He has been locking him up. TSM I really like in this bottom lane.
There again, more damage as you see Reginald grabbing his blue. And they're going in. Here comes Stand United. They could turn this around. A beautiful job. Cutie Pie out of mana. Relying on some auto attacks. They're forced to back off.
But what a nice move there. That Shen ult coming in out of nowhere. Cutie Pie really baiting it out. And that was just awesome. He put the Ignite down. A great engage from Crumbs. Now Scar's looking for something. They're moving in for Dragon.
Yeah, that's a great play there. Obviously, you get the support out. That's a lot of crowd control in the bottom lane. Reginald can't blast anybody from full health yet. So safe to do this right now. But here comes Odd One.
Well, the smite is up from Crumbs. We'll see if they get it in time. Odd One's looking for it.
He's going to go for Cataclysm. They dive away from Dragon. Odd One's going to be taking that damage unless Dragon goes back in. They are going to be able to get Crumbs, though. Can they pick up the rest of the Dragon? A beautiful reinitiation here on Dragon, but Odd One's getting quite hurt. He's going to go. Oh, no! They aren't able to get it. Reginald finally picks it up, but he goes down. Money going to Shen, Alistar, and Graves.
That's a pretty good kill picked up. Odd One taking a little bit too much burn damage. No one tanked it for him. I mean, great fight from TSM, but to be fair, they could have made him live. They just needed to have Misfortune tank that.
Yeah, didn't need the smite in there anymore. It really wasn't a threat from both sides. 2-2 at 9 minutes and 30 seconds into this one. A little different play from both teams. You know, usually we've seen a lot lately. Teams will go we don't want to pressure too much for Dragon. You can actually lose a lot, but both of them kind of just threw all their cards in right there, and we're like, yeah, it might happen.
I mean, Dignitas thought they had the chance. They got the kill.
Right.
They had good health. Cutie Pie, sure, not much mana, but they had the damage output. It was just a really, really well-orchestrated counterattack by Solamid. They got the Jarvan ultimate right into the bullet time, which has softened everybody up, and then Reginald just went right in. He found Crumbs, locked him up, and look at this damage now. Dyrus actually having a great time against Kiwi Kid. Look at him. Kiwi Kid's really in a rough spot right here.
He throws on the ult. He tries to go for one more Call of the Meek and just pushes Kiwi Kid out of that lane. That's going to be a tough one to win, especially for a Kale. Is that a game where you have to be up in the beginning, or is it just kind of mediocre all the way through and you're there for the fight phase?
It looked really good 1 through 4. He was able to put the Reckoning down, land a bunch of attacks with Righteous Fury, and it was painful. Dyrus had to chug through all of his potions and recall back. That's when you saw Alban come up. He said, guys, I'm out of potions. Shove this so I can buy. But as soon as he got the Dorn's Blade as well as a Longsword, he just started playing aggro. He chugged the Elixir of Fortitude and just started going for damage output. Once you get some levels on Renekton, your damage output in a trade is really high, and you just started pushing Kiwi Kid away.
And you can see him just denying so many waves in the top lane as the bottom lane gets some attention as well. It's not going to be Chaos. Oh, beautiful flash from Xpecial. The crowd control is dodged on this one, and they walk out calmly.
But still, that is Flash Burn, which is a nice move here. Exhaust, though, I guess, was also used. And you get to see, a nice move from Kax there. He shoves the lane out, bullet time to get the farm back up. But Scar, he's looking for something.
They did right away until they saw him go for the mid lane. TSM doing a very good job at keeping the focus everywhere for Dignitas. Scar is not allowed to roam in that bottom lane because Kassadin would want to.
And he's not allowed to farm either because Osmond and Reginald would just dunk him right here. I'm going to see if Osmond goes for something here. They're looking for it. Can he get...
You were right. He stepped in for the Rune Prison.
There it is.
1-2. They get the Rune Prison, but it's a little too far. Dyrus is there to capitalize as well. Kiwi Kid just on his heels, so they may be able to stop the damage on this turret. It could live with a sliver.
I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. Krebs goes for the taunt.
Oh, it max range taunt. They go for the harass. The Rune Prison. Kiwi Kid does have intervention back up. That was kind of a scary move for a second.
Yeah, but Reginald, he's got so much damage output. That early tier, the early catalyst. Level 9 for himself. He's got good damage output. Now they're going to get this turret, and Dignitas does not have the tools to stop him.
Easy walk in there. They're going to go. Alistar coming in from behind, but will they be able to drop Crumbs in time? Alistar, Patoy looks like he's going to have to actually back out himself.
They were looking for a 4 versus 3, but the unfortunate thing there was TSM was so aggressive.
Right.
They actually shoved away Skara and Crumbs before the 4v3 started. If they had waited too long, he would have found something.
There's Cutie Pie taking a lot of damage. It's going to be the taunt in. I don't think Shen's going to be able to help as much this time. Oh, the collateral damage, a few more shots. Xpecial throws the heal off as well as the ultimate, and that is going to be the tide turner of the fight. Chaos, a few more shots. The Vorpal Blade's not going to heal enough, and they do pick up the double kill. Great try from Crumbs, though.
Absolutely phenomenal move there. Cleanse used on the Ignite as well to keep himself alive a bit longer. And they split focus just a little bit too much. You saw both members of TSM so incredibly low, and they couldn't quite find the kills. Great play by TSM. Absolutely amazing by them to find it.
A lot of lane dominance coming out here. That top lane already pushed down to the second turret in the lane. And it looks like Reginald is going to try and put some aggression onto this. How far does Skara chase? There's a pretty good distance made there, and he looks like he'll be able to make it back to the turret here. Not enough burst damage from Skara.
He's not got enough mana to chase him down that far.
Right.
Certainly not enough damage to get him before he reaches the turret. So, nice attempt there. We're seeing Skara down about 45 minions here, but he's finally cresting into the point where he can start becoming more relevant. Kassadin is really the king of cleaning up fights and finding kills out of nowhere. When he's got a mana bar, he's super, super mobile. He's got burst damage. Even if he doesn't have much ability power, he's still got good damage output. So Skara on Kassadin is a guy that I can expect to see get kills if they can start some close fights. But it's going to be up to Dignitas. The problem is they're down about 5,000 gold. They've got to find these battles that Skara can get into and clean up to get him ahead here.
So, not very like TSM, but they are giving Dignitas a little bit of breathing room here after they've kind of taken down a good amount of turrets. Dyrus now into the top lane here at 14 minutes. Giant's Belt and Brutalizer, that early Brutalizer really wreaking some havoc against Kiwi Kid. He was not ready for it. We'll have to see. He is still continuing to itemize for what his team needs. We'll see what that comes to be. Rod of Ages finished on Rise here as his first core item. Catalyst still on Skara as he is a bit behind there. 114 CS in mid to 76 on that matchup.
That is pretty rough. And if you look at the gold individually, it's 4,900 on Reginald to 3,200 on Skara. That is a rough situation. The AD carries 5,200 to 3,700. And again, in the top lane, 53 to 37. You're seeing the 3 major carries on both sides, about a 1,500 gold lead each for Team Solo Mid.
And with that, you know, we turn that into a factor of time. Where does that leave Dignitas to really start to try and grab that foothold again? 20, 25 minutes?
They've certainly got some time to move. Now, they've got almost a break point right here because Rise is going to keep accelerating. The problem is, like, with Rise, like, you almost want to fight him early because he'll keep growing. And Kiwi Kid, he's right about it haunting guys. That's going to be a big spike for him. Cutie Pie's got Bloodthirster, while there's not yet a Brutalizer here for Chaos. So even though they're behind in gold, as far as items are concerned, they're actually reasonably close. And so you could almost say, as Dignitas, you could look for fights almost.
Looks like TSM looking to grab the second dragon of the game. They do so. They put 7,000 gold just about in between these two teams. Team Solo Mid looks to just increase that advantage slowly. There was no contest for that dragon. They're going to be looking for a fight that should be going in their favor, but we saw Crumbs. He did change a fight around down bottom. They have the intervention from Kiwi Kid, so they kind of have about 2 extra lives in the next fight. Dyrus now seeing one there. He gets pulled off, but in a 2v1, he actually makes them back up.
Yeah, I mean, he's under the turret. He knows he's got a lot of crowd control. He's a very, very tanky man. Even has some good damage, but oh, Scar's going to get found.
Skara does get hit up. He gets stunned a little bit by the flag toss there. He tries to get in and completely obliterated by a double up and a Q from Reginald. They go for the collateral damage to steal away, but it goes right to Reggie.
And that's a really big deal for him. He's got, again, a refresh on that blue buff. Complete map control here is really going the Team Solo Mid. They're doing an amazing job. Dyrus, you know, I said at the beginning that Kiwi Kid thought he could beat any other top laner here, but Dyrus, like, straight up one-on-one, aside from one gank from Jarvan, which was, to be fair, that was the kill.
Yep.
The kill did come from the Jarvan gank, but even beyond that, Dyrus has got a turret, Dyrus has got more minions. That doesn't all just come from a kill. Certainly it's a lead, but Dyrus has used that very, very well.
Very true, you know, I'll keep saying it, you know, Cal, not a bad champion, but we really haven't seen anybody use her to full effect here within these matches. Reginald had trouble yesterday. We see Kiwi Kid a little bit of a lackluster game from what he's been showing us. There is the make it rain. They're going to slow him down. Kiwi Kid is the focus. The intervention is used, so now it's pretty much Crumbs going down. Reginald picks up the straggler kill, however, and they're just going to be able to walk with Crumbs here, talk about their day, and pick up the kill in the end.
There we go. Crumbs is not going to be in the best spot for this one.
Dyrus giving out the laugh.
I'm pretty sure I heard that too. Chaos going to find him in the brush. There we go. Kill picked up. TSM gets 2. Dignitas a great counterattack. They're going to move in for this mid lane. You can just see Skara, he just feels a little bit lacking for damage. He's not one-shotting ranged minions with that Force Pulse. They have to run away realizing that Chaos and Special are coming. Chaos just like walks up and says, yeah, bring it, I dare you to CC me.
He does, because they see the odd one coming from the bottom side. Will he Cataclysm in? And his only option is Skara. Not going to work so well.
Yeah, Skara silenced him right away to make sure he couldn't look for that just yet. And then by that point, they were too close to the turret. So good reflexes by Skara, silenced him to make sure he couldn't find something. They walked right back out. But this looks much like TSM versus Vulcan. They are strangling the game. We talked about that before, but right, they've got 3 turret kills now. They're up 9,000 gold. This is a very good TSM.
And you know what, Freak? They did. They went right for that top lane. They pressured Kiwi Kid. They put him out of his comfort zone, and they used that Renekton and that Jarvan. Like you said, each lane has its pretty much own on-point stun when they want to use it, and that's exactly how they took Kiwi Kid down.
And so here we go. Let's see what's going to be the sort of thing for Dignitas to turn this one around. Well, they've got to really accelerate in items right here. You're seeing a little bit of attack speed come out right now for Kale. He's got 900 gold on himself. It's weird. He like had enough for haunting guys and then stopped and bought a dagger. He's got, you know, the Sorcerer Shoes. He's got some damage up, but you finally got a Rod of Ages on Kassadin. I feel like they just need time. They just need time to accelerate past this game. I think Kale has a better late game than Renekton. Kassadin, maybe not really a better late game than Rise, but I think Shen will have a better late game than this Jarvan will. I think Alistair will be a little bit better later on than Taric, but I don't see how they're going to survive for 20 minutes without losing more turrets, losing Dragon, losing Baron. TSM, I think they've been playing pretty aggressively. They're not going to get the steal on this Lizard buff, but they are keeping the pressure up. 3 turrets, they'll look for a 4th, they'll look for another Dragon, they'll look for Baron pretty soon. TSM has to keep making moves, but they're fairly safe even if they take risks.
Right, you have a lot of, I said before, those keep him alive, the stand united, the intervention coming in, Scar being very safe, as well as that the will coming in from Alistar to keep himself alive and mitigate all the damage. But the Warmogs are already built, we're seeing, on Team Solo mid side. That's going to give them that tankiness they need to get past that elongated fight, and they're more than happy to start fighting those now.
There we go, especially with a couple of wards down. They're really starting to reveal the jungle here, and they're going to go for a fight. They found Reginald.
Reginald will be the one out here. They do have a little bit of assassination power there, and they may be able to get this. Batoy put himself in Cataclysm with the headbutt. The stand united leaves Crumbs very low, but he gets the save in. Here comes Dyrus. He is so tanky. Slice and dice around Call of the Meek, dropping everybody's HP. The double kill coming up for Chaos. They continue on. Cutie Pie in the sights of Dyrus, but the turret gets in his way.
Now they're going to move away and just let that one be a 3-for-1. Really good first engage on Reginald. Locked him up the entire way through. Couldn't even flash out of that one. But the re-engage, a full duration Cataclysm from the odd one, and then it was just, all right, Dyrus, show up, CC them, let's make this happen. Really, really nice. And the 3-person flag toss knockup, that was beautiful from odd one.
A really great job. They had to waste quite a bit just to take Reginald down. He's already so tanky, and he bought that chained vest before that fight happened, or a few minutes before that fight happened. We just saw how much he stayed. There's a lot of burst damage that he took, and I think a little bit too much was wasted on him because the turnaround happened quite fast when Dyrus got there.
I think they needed to. That was like a target they had to remove from the fight. If they can find Reginald, they should go for it every time. And what they need here is magic damage. You look at Reginald's build, and yeah, he's going to go for a Glacial Shroud. Yeah, he's going to be kind of armor tanky. He's got some health, but Kiwi Kid going for a more magic damage heavy build. You can see him going for that Nashor's Tooth here. Yeah, they're going to be magic damage focused, and so they can kill Reginald reasonably quickly. What needs to happen is after they kill Reginald, they need to be able to get into a situation where they don't get dunked by Auburn, they don't get bullet time super hard, and they're able to recover and fight a real 5-on-4, not a, well, we all got bullet timed 5-on-4.
So we all hear about Season 3 and Armor Pen and Black Cleavers and Brutalizers. Let's talk a little bit about how this works and dish it out here, Freak. With Renekton having the Brutalizer, with the Black Cleaver on MF, how do they want to stack those?
Basically, bullet time's going to knock everyone down by about 25%. The slice and dice based on rank is going to drop them from 15 to 35%. And then from there, those guys individually, well, they get that Brutalizer Armor Pen. So their armor's going to be down by about half, and then, hey, let's just shred another 10 afterwards.
Well, let's see if they can make it happen right here. The odd one just showing aggression, a few abilities, giving them complete movement over this blue buff, and it's theirs.
It's actually going to reset real quick. There we go. Now Reginald can pick that one up.
Strongest blue buff NA.
Seriously, it just took so much damage, but... All right, Reggie.
Wow.
There's the cue. All right, we got it.
Longer than the fights.
Honestly, yeah, that Golem was tankier than anyone on Dignitas right now, because TSM is just putting out ridiculous damage. There's the smite. It's actually going to be down in case they try to risk Baron, but looks like their focus is going to be on this bottom lane. So, Team Solo mid, they're going to look to put out more pressure here. Dignitas, they're going to look to find that one-person catch. The problem is the only person caught out right now is Dyrus, who is incredibly tanky on Renekton. They need to find that kill on Misfortune. They need to find that kill onto Rise, kill him, disengage, and come back in as a 5 versus 4. Dignitas can do it. They're incredibly good at this game. We'll see if their kills can come from somewhere.
They're trying to put up a little bit of defense on this bottom turret. Kiwi Kid still trying to farm up in that top lane. Cutie Pie getting completely burst down. There's the softener from the bullet time. Crumbs follows as well. Reginald picks up a double kill. They look to drop the bottom turret here, and they're going to have eyes on the inhibitor.
All right, this is really good for Team Solo mid. They've got a 5-on-3. Eyes on the inhibitor is the right place to be because this is going to be theirs, this turret. I don't think Dignitas can even try to stop them. If someone looks to stop, they can get flag tossed and just die to Jarvan.
Looks like they are going to be able to get this inhibitor. They are bloodthirsty right now for the rest of the structures inside Dignitas' base, and just watch them on the outside, forced to take a Polaroid of their inhibitor going down as TSM walks their way out for more purchases.
Well, that Polaroid, hopefully it takes 5 minutes to develop because it's not going to be there for the next 5 minutes. So for that picture to be accurate, you got to wait some time. Now, they've respawned. They're back on the map. They've got Skara, who actually hasn't even gotten Boots of Speed because he's got Riftwalk, doesn't really need it. His Rod of Ages is getting stacked. That's not even quite full yet, that Rod of Ages. He's got kind of a while to go. And I mean, just kind of compare Rise to Kassadin, just a very big item difference here. But let's talk about Dignitas. What they need to do to win this game. Well, they need some time, which is a difficult thing because they don't have a heck of a lot of it. I don't even feel like Shen could successfully split push right now, just because I don't see how he survives against Dyrus. They need to find something to slow the game down, and I don't know what it is right here. They can hope for a Baron steal. We've seen that happen from Dignitas before against Curse, and that was Scar who picked it up last time. We can hope that Crumbs can look for it this time, because I don't know if Scar has the tools for it in this game. They can hope for a Baron steal. They can hope to try to delay this game out and look for a later game team fight. But other than that, it's ward coverage and trying to find someone caught out. Right now, Reginald's alone. Maybe they can find him here in the jungle. Alistar's about to find him in the brush. Maybe they will find Reginald. They've pinged him out, and Reggie's kind of running to the back. Let's see if they can get it.
We can see Patoy knows he needs to make those chances happen. He actually got boots of mobility for himself. We saw this on Elements, on Sona. They are trying to make opportunities. They caught out Reginald. If they did it a little bit farther from TSM, that would have been a 1-0 for them. But with Dyrus there, with Dyrus so tanky, again entering the fight, Dignitas just leaves the screen.
Yeah, this is kind of the situation here where Team Solo Mid, their ability to fight is incredibly strong. Now, Crumbs on the split push is the right call there. He's actually kept that bottom lane from getting any pressure. He can always ult back in. It's the right play for Dignitas here. He's going to keep the pressure, but here comes TSM.
Domination coming into the base here. You can see they're just watching a few bits of damage hit the turret back and forth. But Dignitas does not want to let this happen. They don't have the greatest siege clear from this team either. So you can just see how TSM can stay up in their face. It's going to take them a few more abilities than usual to clear this next wave. So it looks like TSM not even waiting for the wave. They're going to get damage on it.
Yep, and there's the damage up, but they put the stun onto Alistar so they get disengaged. The Odd One puts his flag down early so that if he ever sees aggression, he can hit Q and get right the heck out of there. And here they come again.
And there, that siege minion is going to allow them to try to get near this turret. Collateral damage and everything coming out, and only 75% health bars for Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, they just didn't put out a heck of a lot of pressure. And it's just unfortunate. They had a really good engage there. Patoy pops his ultimate to break Rune Prison. Great headbutt pulverize, but there's no damage to follow up on the KX. This is not AP KO with burst. This is unfortunately an underfarmed Scar who doesn't have much burst either. QtPie did put out his ult, but it didn't do much.
And they are going to get a few more hits on the turret. The flag tosses out to increase the attack speed of the team. And they're going to go on to Crumbs here. And nice headbutt pulverized by Patoy. A Cataclysm onto 3, causing all 2 to flash and 1 to rift. And it looks like they're going to try to focus onto this inhibitor freak. Another flag toss, continuously pushing them back. And you can just see what the gold lead does in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas, this would be their best time to go. They've already used the ultimates from Jarvan, the ultimate from Misfortune, even Xpecial popped his already, but their health bars were too low. They couldn't actually get back in there and get a reasonable fight. Really, really great play by Solo Mid. They've not taken any major risks. I'd actually be almost surprised if they went for Baron, just because they don't need to. But at this point, they've got minions all up in Dignitas' base. They know where they are. They can see that Jarvan's coming, that Shen is coming across. He can try for a steal. We'll see what happens, but they don't really need this risk.
No, they don't need the risk, but this is something that Dignitas needs to steal if it's going to happen. Crumbs getting the damage on. They're going to put all their eggs in one basket here if they dive in. It is a very, very healthy Baron, so it looks like TSM's forced to back out. They have stopped it, which doesn't exactly help Dignitas that much. They really need to be able to steal it away. They're going to try to dive in. The gap closers has been used. Scar and Crumbs are definitely in the Baron pit. A beautiful stop there. They were not able to grab the Baron. It was grabbed up by Team Solo Mid. A beautiful smite by the Odd One. Scar forced to rift out Reginald in pursuit with the Odd One, and it looks like they are going to get what they wanted. Dignitas now even more on their heels. The base is quite open, and it looks like Chaos and Xpecial are coming down the mid lane to help clean up.
And this could be the game-winning push here from Solo Mid. They're looking to push the mid. They're looking to push top and bottom. Inhibitors are gone. This could be their Nexus.
And there they are, taking out the inhibitor. The Nexus is open, but they want to take down everything from the base. If anything goes wrong in this instance, they still want the huge upper hand for the next 5 minutes, but it looks like they're going to have a clean run here. The inhibitor, or the Nexus turrets rather, are going to be open. They're facing a little bit of contest here from Dignitas. It looks like they may be able to get at least one of these Nexus turrets.
Oh, they're going to be 4 strong. They've got Baron buff. Everyone from Dignitas is alive. They're keeping the siege, though. These turrets so low. Chaos, he's going to pick up one, and here comes the Initiate.
The headbutt pulverized, the back and forth, a beautiful Cataclysm. The gap closer's being used. Here comes Stand United just inside the base to keep them alive. The home guards have not been bought yet, so this could be one of the last fights they're going in. The bullet time clearly hitting every member of Dignitas, and it completely softens them up for a quick 1-2-3, and it looks like 4 and 5 are forced to the fountain. Dignitas watches their Nexus go down as Team Solo Mid finds another win in the LCS.
Now congratulations TSM, 2-1 for them. Dignitas dropped to 0-2 so far this season, but they'll have another shot today to pick up a win. But there is the relieved TSM. The smiles on their faces, like, yes, we beat a very strong opponent right here. Lost to CLG, a win to Dignitas, a win against Vulcan. This is a pretty good season so far for TSM. They're doing pretty all right.
They are doing pretty all right. That first game was a little shaky.
Yeah.
Reginald said he did not like the play him or his team showed, and it looks like they definitely had to talk with themselves. They surrendered that first game, and they just got the mentality of, you know, let's wipe that slate clean. Let's go on from here with the W's.
And that was absolutely great. And you're going to see, like, this is the happiest I've actually seen, like the smiliest I've seen the team after one of these games. They're like, yeah, we did a really, really good job that game. I saw pretty much 0 mistakes there. 17-4 was that score. Absolutely great play the whole way through. Early advantages, kill after kill after kill, strangling the map, taking buffs, taking turrets. Every fight went their way.
And we can see him discussing what was going on. You know, there's no like definitive chat back and forth to the others. They're definitely considering what each other are saying. Patoy on the end there listening to Scar. This is Scar and Crumbs chatting it out. And you can see Scar, usually the main shot caller, discussing what, you know, went down with the team right now.
Honestly, a lot of it was that every lane was so rough. Now, the bottom lane was the closest, Misfortune Tarek versus Graves, Alistair. There's a lot of great plays there. They had a lot of near kills. A couple of them actually picked up for themselves. I think Dignitas, most of their hope came from that bottom lane. They played it really, really well. I can't really fault almost anything they did. A couple of, I think, miscoordinations there. They would kind of focus different targets, get them both low, and then not find anything, which felt weird to me, that they weren't hitting the same targets almost ever. And then just there was that one clutch play. Shen ulted in. They tried to find the kills, and then both Xpecial and KX were there under 100 health at the end, just surviving. But Kassadin, just poor Scar, he couldn't find an advantage there against Reginald. Kiwi Kid against Dyrus up top. Early lead for Kiwi Kid, but that great gank from the odd one turned it the other way.
Yeah, they really pressured on, knowing that KO was going to be a huge fight aspect in that. Dyrus was probably saying, I'm going to have an all-right lane. It's not going to be bad against Kale. The CS will probably be in my favor, but we want to stop her for the late game. We don't want her to have any of those items because the AoE, the area of effect is really, that's where it was coming from them.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it is almost an area of effect when you think about it. Most of Kassadin's damage comes from an area. Most of Graves' damage comes from his abilities, which are in an area. Again, Kale with the Righteous Fury, splashing people out. Yeah, and removing some of those big factors is super important. That if you ever play a long-duration battle, Kale's going to be one of the scariest factors there. Haunting out is completed. He was going for Leandries, but, you know, kind of almost got himself to that situation. Just had the recipe to go there for himself. But, you know, what I kind of saw there was just enough pressure from the odd one. He got the gank onto Kale.
Right.
And then Dyrus won the lane by himself from that point.
That's what you got to do. Leave it up and have confidence in the rest of your team. Team Solo Mid did it perfectly there. All 5 of them having a great game. At one point, I think 2,000 gold ahead in almost every lane that was on the map. We'll have to go back and check the stats. But guys, we'll be right back after these messages with an interview from Chaos from Team Solo Mid.
camera or?
You're that guy. Or you can look wherever you want. They'll follow you.
Hey everybody, Marcus, DJ Wheat Graham here with Rivington, and we are joined by Chaos of Team Solomid. Congratulations on your victory, and this now means officially you're done with Week 1. So you end up 2-1. Yesterday we asked Reginald what he thought about the 1-1 finish yesterday, but now that you're done with Week 1, what do you think about where you sit?
I mean, 2-1 is pretty respectable. We came in expecting to go 3-0. Actually, we came in, we didn't know what to expect because we haven't competed in about 3 months. We had a long break. We just kind of got together in our new gaming house about 2 weeks ago before this, and we started practicing really hard. And you know what? Coming in, getting 2-1, I think it's a fine start of a great season.
Let's talk a little bit about your communication. Noticed it yesterday, definitely on par. Not talking over each other, obviously calling what needs to be called. Today was certainly a little bit louder, certainly a little bit more animated. Can you tell us about why and what was going on?
Yeah, so yesterday against Vulcan, their AD carry, even though we were winning the entire game, we're kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. And then all of a sudden they come back in a fight and they rally and they're actually starting to look like they might be able to come back, and he's just shouting the entire time. He's playing Kog'Maw. I'm running away with MF. He's like, oh yeah, Strut's over, get him, Shenton. And it's like, I'm like so demoralized because like I'm getting chased down. I know I'm gonna die, and he's shouting over me. And everyone on the team was like, yeah, like I lost concentration for about 10 seconds there, and we had to like get back. It's like, okay, what is our next step? And it took a lot longer for us to like define that next step. So today we're like, screw it, like we're gonna shout too. Like if shouting is allowed, then why not? Like if we get a kill and you messed up, you're gonna feel like you messed up and you let your team down. And I know a lot of Asian teams do this at LANs, like WE. When we were talking about them, it's like, oh yeah, PDD, one of the Asian or Chinese players, he's a real beast at LANs. He shouts so loud when he needs to shout. And then it's like, I mean, like it's such a huge advantage, and it honestly showed in Dignitas' play that they were playing scared.
So psychological warfare.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yes. And
getting in the heads of your opponent.
Yeah, and we need to get that good to the point where, like, hearts of steel, man. Like, no amount of shouting is going to break your confidence if you want to get to the Asians levels.
So did you guys feel like all of you embraced that right off the bat, or was somebody kind of like on the forefront of that there, and then everybody kind of came up?
I was like, well, yesterday we were like, well, damn, that Ghost Zuna guy is really annoying. and then we're like, but there's no real rule against it. Let's just shout too. Like, if I say TSM, just say it louder. And then if I shout TSM, shout it louder. Cool. So,
well, you've got to make up for the lack of the TSM chanting that obviously is not taking place.
Exactly.
And going into next week, you know, you come out 2-1. You guys were already established as sort of one of the teams to watch out for, obviously. Yeah. Do you feel like you have exhibited the skill level and I guess just the level of play that you wanted to kicking off Season 3?
I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like I can imagine a perfect game where both teams pick like wonderfully and both team comps just perfectly counter each other in the perfect way, and then they play perfectly and it lasts like 60 minutes, and it's just like the team fights are just so insane. Everyone's outplaying each other and like everyone's mind is blown. But we're not there yet, and we'll never be there. So coming in, like, that is the goal for me, for my team. But coming in, I think we've gotten to a good level for the 2 weeks of practice that we really like settled down and did. So yeah,
awesome.
I'm content.
Excellent. All right. Excellent.
Right on, guys. Well, thanks for joining us up here at the booth, taking time out, and good luck to TSM during the rest of the LCS. Guys, early in the show, we asked you to send us your thoughts by writing to us at LOL eSports using the hashtag LCS on Twitter. And that question, which champions do you want to see picked this season and why? here's what you guys had to say.
I'm curious to see what we're going to get. AD casters mid, such as Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, and Talon will become much better in this season, and I think it's already happened. We've seen it here, the LCS. We've certainly been seeing it since the Season 3 patch came out.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
It really is. It's that damage becoming cheaper, armor becoming more expensive. The AD caster assassins are just having a ball in mid, and you know what? It's up the amount of pentakills, and who's going to hate that? Perfect.
Well, not those getting the pentakills, that's for sure. Next response, Thresh. He has so much skill potential that someone's going to find a brand new way to play him and blow the competition away. Rivington,
I'm super
the
excited,
buzz
dude.
behind the scenes is
Super
all the
excited.
players asking, hey, when do we get to see Thresh? When does it get turned on?
Never has a kit been implemented that can allow him to do what he does with his team. It's going to create some of the most amazing highlights we've ever seen. And yes, everybody is just fork and knife pounding at the table.
They're waiting for it.
Give us Thresh. The players want him. Crepo has been crying about it. He wants it back and forth. His Twitter is full about it. The players here want it. Afro wants it soon enough.
Yep, soon enough. I'm sure it will happen. And finally, after watching Syndra mid with CLG Link, I just expect surprises and good things. I think that's another great response. You know, we've already seen some different changes, but you know, there's a lot more versatility out there, I think, with Season 3 pack.
You know, it's bouncing the players out of their mentality as well. Reginald came up here and interviewed with us, and you said, so what about that pick coming in with Link? You know, you guys, you had a pretty solid lineup. And he goes, actually, I thought he was just trolling us. Like, until they pulled blue over the wall and we actually had no idea what to do for that first half of the thing without Odd One having blue buff, we thought it was a troll. So just right there, you know, the mind games coming out of Champion Select, the Syndra picks, it is going to be all amazing this season.
And plenty more Season 3 to see what will come out. So, guys, thanks for your responses, and please talk to us on Twitter. And remember, it's at LOL eSports, #LCS. And there's still plenty more Season 3 LCS action on the way. We're going to come back with Good Game University versus Curse right after this short break. Stay with us.
All the Syndra.